to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. Donnie Moore will report on the latest high school sports scores involving Blount County teams, and will follow up with some national sports stories. Marcus Fitzsimmons will be on board to update us on what's happening in local high school sports. Marcus will present his feature Mark It Down in the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segments. I'll talk some Tennessee round ball as the transfer portal opens. We'll set the stage for the spring football game. We'll talk some UT softball and baseball and take a look at the NCAA basketball final game. The Let Her Rip segment is set to go, so let's break the huddle and dive right in. And good morning to everybody on a beautiful southern morning.
Good morning, Mike.
What's happening?
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm here with that's John Edwards, my brother. He's here fresh from Indianapolis, Indiana, fresh off the National Basketball Tournament in downtown. So he's going to join us here this morning and join our crew, and we're going to talk a lot about that game in Indianapolis along with some other basketball news from around the country. But good to have all of you. Donnie Moore, welcome back to you after a little medical delay last week.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. Well, I've got a Let Her Rip segment ready to go this morning. I'm ripping the transfer portal.
I knew you would.
I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of what's going on right now at all.
It's broken.
Yeah. Well, this past week the transfer portal opened for college basketball, and the Vols and Lady Vols have been hit hard. Both Rick Barnes and Kim Caldwell have got the help wanted signs up.
Yeah, well, I start to say, what Lady Vols?
Yeah, Barnes is not just looking for a few good men. He's looking for a lot of good men, at least 6 and possible 7 to be exact. Barnes is losing several players that would be in the starting lineup next year.
Right.
Why these players are leaving is a little baffling to me. Advantages of the Tennessee program are numerous. Play for a Hall of Fame coach, track record for getting players better, plays a pro game, gets you ready for the next level, runs a clean program, playing in an outstanding arena, great fans, great exposure, TV and media, 3 straight Elite Eights. Where else can you find a better program than this?
Looks like they've got it all.
Yeah, now let's talk reality. They are leaving for the money. Show me the money.
That's it.
Loyalty is out the window. No loyalty to the coach, no loyalty to the program, no loyalty to the fans, no loyalty to anything, period. I don't know how in the world fans put up with it. The system really is just playing the paying customer for a sucker. I'm really sick and tired of these guys leaving, and they tweet their let me feel goods about themselves. Here are some of the tweets that these short-timers have put out. I've enjoyed my time in the UT basketball program. No, you haven't. You're leaving. I love Coach Barnes. No, you don't. You love yourself. I love the Vol fans. No, you don't. You love yourself. This has been a hard decision, but I've decided to move on. It's not a hard decision. You're looking for more money. These guys playing at Tennessee now are not Vols for life. Anyone spending a year or two and then leaving are just here on vacation. Here are the real Vols for life, guys. The ones who played here for room, board, tuition, and $15 a month laundry money. The ones that came to college to get an education, and athletics provided the means. A nice way to honor these guys for their dedication and hard work in the program would not be money, but would be to provide it at least a hat, a Vol for Life hat. That way these players could at least have the satisfaction of hearing fans compliment them for their service and loyalty to the UT basketball program and other sports programs on the campus. GoTeez, are you on board with this?
Don't hold back, Gunner. Tell us how you really feel, buddy.
Well, that's the way I feel.
I know
That's the way I feel. And it's not just here. It's all across the country. And it's,
you're right.
I just think it's awful sad that I feel sorry for coaches. You know,
I
mean, these coaches across the country are losing almost their entire rosters, and they've got to go out and recruit kids. And where does it put high school kids that are really good out of high school coming into college their freshman year when you're going out and getting transfers? And you look at Michigan, they won a national championship, and their whole starting 5 were transfer portal players. That was an all-star team.
I started to feel sorry for coaches, except for the fact when I realized they making $5 million a year.
Yeah, I understand.
It's going to come down to the coaches that are able to take a team of players that have come from maybe 5 players, starting 5 from different schools the year before, and able to put together a team that gels and win. That's what Michigan did this year, basically.
Put together an all-star team and make it into a real team.
In a short period of time. You know, there's no developing a kid from freshman year to a senior year anymore. The transfer portal, like you're saying, how many of these guys that enter the portal don't get picked up
A lot.
in their career. And how often do we hear that? Very seldom. It's always the guy that goes from here to here that gets picked up. But what about those players that don't get picked up and their careers end for the most part?
Yeah, and
because they're not going to go back to that school that they came from.
Listen, these coaches are expected to win.
Yeah,
I don't care whether you lose all your players or not.
You're getting all this money, you got to win.
You better put together something where you can win the next year, or you're gonna be in trouble quick.
That last commentary, by the way, was from John Edwards, Mike's brother.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, John.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So
I know that much maybe about sports.
Yeah.
Mike, you hit on the irony, though, is we are not that far removed from Tennessee introducing VFL because they wanted to deal with the problem of, it was former Vol, and that sounded kind of weird and maybe a little bit derogatory. And then you had Vol alumni, and then they were like, well, some of these guys didn't actually graduate because they left early. So they came up with VFL. But within a very short span of time, now we're at Vol for the moment, or Vol for hire.
Yeah, there's
whatever you want to call it, because they're not here for life anymore.
They're not.
So you rolled out with a great title. You came with a great idea just in time for NIL.
Yeah, the sad part, as I mentioned, the guys that really were here for 4 years, because, that's not happening very much anymore, where somebody's at a university for 4 years and spends it in an athletic program. Back then, those were really the guys that did spend their lives here, the 4 years. That's all you were allowed to play was the 4 years. Of course, if you had a redshirt year, you got one more year.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pretty much it.
Well, they got an education too.
Oh yeah, you weren't. The emphasis was not on pro sports. It wasn't on going on. Of course, some did. There were some that did go on, but the emphasis was really on getting your education.
Sure.
They had a player on that team from Florida last year, and I can't remember his name. Maybe one of you guys will, but he had played for 4 different teams and finally won a championship with Florida last year. Now, did he get his education? Who knows? Did he go pro? I don't know. It's just that's what's happening, and they just don't. I don't know. You get a kid in that's a freshman, he's not developing.
Well, you're talking a little bit. I guess maybe it's Denzel Aberdeen, and he played at Florida, 6'5" guard. He played there and he was at Florida for 3 years and won a national championship, I think, Marcus, in 2025. And then he transferred to Kentucky for a year, and now he's trying to get back to Florida. So he's been to Florida, to Kentucky, and back to Florida, and he's going to have some help from the NCAA. They're going to have to give him a redshirt year in which he played in 12 games, and so he's going to need a waiver from them to be eligible. But that's kind of unique. I don't know if I've ever seen that in the transfer portal, where you go to some other school and then go back. A lot of them don't want you back, but he's trying to get back to Florida. He's from Orlando, but maybe the weather was just a little bit too cold up there in Kentucky. I don't know, but he's going back to Florida, trying to.
Well, you had the situation last year too with a player from Alabama. That
he had
came
to go
back from the G League, played a couple of games, and then they said he couldn't play anymore. And that's what's going on. I mean, it's just there's no rules anymore.
Yeah, just go to court.
For this. Yeah, just go to court.
Just go to court, and there you are.
Spend your time in court.
But I just hate I just hate what's going on, with the transfer portal, and I know it's a trying time for coaches and so forth. And a lot of times they end the season and they don't really know whether these kids are coming back or not, because the transfer portal opens so quickly. After the final game of the NCAA tournament, and then they got, I think, what is it, about 3 weeks,
April 7th through the 26th.
Okay, so that's about 3 weeks.
So you'll know in between
weeks.
now and then what's going on with a lot of these guys, whether they're going to go pro or they're going to transfer. So,
Marcus, you got any solutions to this deal? This is total free agency is what it is. It's a better deal than the pros.
Well, we'll see what happens. We know that everyone is aware of the problem at this point. We know that in some realm of possibility, I wouldn't put a percentage on it. I'm sure you could go to one of the betting apps and come up with a percentage. There is a bill in Congress that would address all this, that would standardize some of these things basically under a business arrangement. And, the president has come out with his council that Nick Saban is on. They have put out a recommendation that limits it to one transfer in your career, one penalty-free transfer in your career. I think yesterday the NCAA rolled out a shift where to deal with some of the extended playing time cases, et cetera, that we're seeing, that would basically give you a countdown clock starting with either turning 19 or your high school graduation, whichever came first, and you would have 5 years in that from that point to play, and after that you would be out of eligibility no matter the situation.
Well, that was pretty much the way it was when we played. You know, you got 4 years and a redshirt year. That's 5
Right.
years.
You
didn't get injury years and all these types
the
of
difference
things that are
being
going
that
in or
now that the way that rule was written was based on like your year in school and in college, and that was when it started getting twisted around. We had like third-year sophomores and things like that. So this one is going to be based on age and high school graduation date, so you have a firm clock that isn't moved by however credits you have or how much time you spend on the field or anything along those lines. You would have 5 years.
There's no discussion now, the way I understand it, as far as going back to the old rule in which if you transferred, you had to sit out a year, automatic.
No, I don't hear anything about that anymore.
But that's the way it used to be.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That one got thrown out.
If you transferred to an SEC school, if you were playing at Tennessee and you wanted to go to Alabama or Florida, like they're doing now, you had to sit out 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
That one is the lawsuit took care of part of it. Conferences still have that ability that they could limit their members to making them have a year off if it was a transfer from inside the conference. But all the conferences dropped the rule because they didn't want a competitive disadvantage in recruiting athletes. So they still have the ability to put that rule back in place. They've just opted not to do it.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you have to sit out a year, you're going to think a little bit about making a move. And if you have to sit out 2 years, you're really going to be thinking about it. That would just about shut that deal out as far as players transferring within conferences.
I think Calipari, the coach from Kentucky, that I think it's Arkansas now, he had a good idea. I heard an interview from him that when you're in high school and you're graduating, you pick a college. That's your decision. You pick that college. You get there, you're unhappy or whatever reason you want to transfer. You pick another school. You go to the portal, you get picked up. But if you're unhappy at that school and you want to transfer, you're going to have to sit out a year. And I think that'd be a good rule for these people.
I think so too.
And it would keep a player from just bouncing with one program to the other, and this crazy money being thrown out there to get these guys from one school to another. So until you get some
a one-time unlimited transfer.
Absolutely, and then they get two strikes, and the third time they got to sit out, and so for a year and think about it. Think about that next decision.
The shooting guard from Kentucky was in the news this week, and Kentucky offered him $2.1 million, and I'll get his name here in a little bit. It slipped my mind, but they offered him $2.1 million, and he's going to BYU for supposedly $3.1 million. That's actually crazy money. That's just crazy. I mean, you think about these guys, and going in the draft, and let's say you're 13th in the draft, or 13th to 30th in the draft, and your money's at $5 or $6 million there midway, and it drops down to about $2.5 million if you're in the first round of the draft. If you're 28th, maybe to 30th. Well, if you're going to make $1.5 million in college, and say that's your first year, and say your next year you play, and say you make all conference or maybe MVP in the SEC or wherever it might be, then you're going to be paid more money.
Sure.
So you could feasibly play your 4 years in college and get $4 million plus at a minimum. If you're really a good player, $4 million plus at a minimum. Plus, you're not going to have to pay for room. You're not going to have to pay for your food.
Absolutely.
And you're going to get your college education. So what I'm saying is that jump into the pros doesn't look quite as attractive now when you're making the kind of money that you're making in college, and the fact that you can get your degree if you've got your head screwed on right. Right.
But one thing we should say is not all of this is purely on the athletes at this point. Yes, it is a factor, and it's the factor we talk about the most. However, you also have the NIL collectives bear some responsibility because most of them are not under the control of the school. not all of them actually consult with the head coach about who they're interested in recruiting. And sometimes you end up landing players that don't fit the coach's system, and the coach is stuck with, yeah, I got a 4-star, but he's not a 4-star I want sort of situation. And you've got to put some on the coaches, because you see them bringing guys in, but then you bring these guys in and you don't see them after the end of December.
The money's,
play
the,
2
money's
minutes.
the determining factor.
They
as to
play
why
two.
they're
They
going
play
there.
like 2 minutes a game, maybe if that. And then it's no surprise that they're leaving at the end of the year. And some of those, you have to believe that there are cases where the coaching staff has said, "You're not going to play. You don't fit.
Right.
You're not the guy we thought you were. Let's part ways." So not all of them are the money-grabbing jump. Some of them is that need to win that you have to have as a coach and the coaching staff. So I'm not saying it's all on the head coach, because I think there are sometimes assistant coaches provide some plausible deniability in these situations. To say it to a kid, you're going to be better off leaving than staying here.
But on the other hand, you got to put some of that on the coaches, on the players, because when they're recruited by a coach, sometimes they look at the school and they think, "Oh, I'm going to go to North Carolina, or I'm going to go to Duke," and they don't think to look at the roster. And if they're a guard, and if there's 3 or 4 guards, ahead of them, you think you're going to be happy going there as a freshman at Duke when you got 4 people ahead of you? And I see it all the time in football over here. You got a quarterback, that's going to play maybe the next year, the next 2 years, and you got a couple of 5-star quarterbacks out there, and they decide to come to Tennessee. Well, how are they going to be? Where are they going to play?
Right.
I think quarterbacks look that way, and I think there are some positions where players look at it, but when these guys are competitive, and they all think that they can play with anybody. And that's kind of the mentality. You wouldn't want a guy that says, "Oh, I can't. I'm not better than that." You want that guy that's competitive, but that's also a disadvantage because they all believe they can be that guy. Mm-hmm. So coaches can capitalize on that, and they can tell them, "Yeah, you can come in and win your spot," and the kid's going to believe, "I'm going to win that spot."
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And, the freshman eligibility rule, adds to that flame a little bit, because back in the day, freshmen weren't eligible and you had 3 years. So you had that 1 year where you were on a freshman team and you were playing games. You were playing and getting better on the freshman team, and then you moved into the sophomore situation. But now kids are coming out of high school and, they're looking to play.
They want to play.
They're looking to play as a freshman and right now. Mm-hmm. Rather than to take that year and learn and work their way in there and so forth. So, but the money situation is, I think it's got to be addressed. It's just, of course, all these figures. It'd be mind-boggling if they released all the figures that they were paying these players.
Oh,
and I think that's the key component. I think that will have to happen for this system to eventually get under control.
Is there a cap?
No.
Do they do it like the pro? Is there a cap? There's not a cap now.
No.
We know
Not right
that.
now. But
do
the conferences have that ability.
Yeah.
They have the ability to put a cap out there. Now, obviously, when you get in that, you're going to say the SEC and Big Ten are just going to keep trying to up each other on the cap. But, there has to be a cap before you'll get to the point where all the other conferences are falling behind and dropping it and having to work on a lesser amount of money.
Right.
Because it's just not feasible for these fan bases, all these fan bases, to support that kind of money.
Yeah. Well, the positive end to all this, Donnie Moore, is the fact when Tennessee gets the men get their roster settled and the women get their roster settled, we can all look forward to the night where we have a meet and greet, where we can go and see a whole brand new bunch of players in there.
That's right.
Yeah. I found one in the transfer portal that I found interesting. It's UConn freshman Eric Rebe. Many of you out there may have remembered him. He played some in the tournament, played quite a bit, came off the bench quite a bit during the year. 7'1" inside player. He entered the portal there last week. And Terrace Reed, that had the great tournament for them on the inside, Connecticut, when he was injured the first part of the year, and Rebe played, 5 games, I guess. Averaged 12.5 points and 5 boards, in those 5 games. But when Terrace Reed came back, his time was really cut out. You know, I
Right.
think he ended up averaging maybe 4 points a game or I don't know, somewhere around in that neighborhood. But man, he had all the credentials: top 25 recruit in high school, former McDonald's All-American. Plus, Reed, you know, next year, you know, would be his year. It'd be Reeby's year to move into to the center position and play. And now he's in the portal.
They don't want to wait.
Now explain that deal to me. You know, it's not a fact that he's got to beat somebody out in there. It's a fact that, hey, I didn't get to play very much this year, so I'm going to go look for somewhere else.
So do the players not talk to the coaches to work out a situation where
Ideally,
financially they're going to be apt to stay? Because there's a perfect situation.
Depending on the school, some setups don't allow the coaches to even have. There's a separation between the collective and the coach in some cases.
Where does the money come in under the table? I mean,
the collectives
that's
make
why that
the
kid's
deal,
leaving, because he's going to get a better deal someplace else.
Yeah, we'd like to have him right here. We need an inside player down here.
Some of it's coming through.
Yeah.
We'll take him.
Crazy situations.
There's a spot for him in there.
Yeah, you bet.
Because you've also got some schools that are in states where the athletes are going to be state employees, and they're trying to figure out what happens with some of this NIL money, but it's still legally fed to them.
Wow.
That would be outside the school's control still, but there's no way to stop that under the current arrangement. So that's why Congress is getting involved, because it is literally becoming down to state-by-state measures at this point. And depending on how some of those states are set up, you could actually see some metropolitan cities changing and making their own rules. So you might see something rules different in Chicago than you see for the rest of the state of Illinois.
Why hasn't the NCAA stepped up?
They can't.
They can't. No kidding.
They've lost the lawsuits. Do
we want the government?
They've ceded the authority away.
With working this situation out, I'm not sure.
Real complicated. We got money. We got money involved. We got people leaving. Everything's going on here. I just want a hat, Donnie. I just want a hat.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Room
board, books, tuition,
and
$15 a month, and a hat. That's all I'm asking for.
Would you have been happy to stay for $1 million a year?
Yeah. Wow. Oh man.
Man, that cleaned a lot of clothes.
Yeah. I'd have the cleanest clothes around if I had that kind of money.
They'd buy a whole lot of Smoky Mountain Market hot dogs, too,
yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday.
We'd buy the Smoky Mountain building over there is what we'd do, make it part of the athletic department.
That's right.
Dorm or
he
whatever.
said they were selling so many hot dogs, the guy finally bought a truck.
Yeah,
and just started bringing them up to the dorm.
Yeah, just brought it over to Gibbs
He
Hall.
was ahead of them.
Oh, those things were so good.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Wow.
Brought the deal over there at night and just parked it outside the athletic dorm, made a killing on hot dogs.
You guys were spoiled.
We were. And we still had those students around campus. Oh, you athletes get everything.
Yeah, really.
You know, they take care of you on your books. You don't have to pay anything for your schooling.
You know, we've heard that all our lives.
Where are those guys now when
these
these kids are making $1 million? You know, $2 million.
But Mike, at least when you were there, you had to go to class and hear it.
Yes.
They don't have to go to class and hear it.
To get up and go to class, and if you weren't making your grades, they had study hall for you.
That's right.
And that's, as best we can tell.
Tutors, yeah.
And a lot of these situations, it appears that many of these guys are not going to class, and the ones that are doing remote classroom. So it's very possible that none of these guys are setting foot in a classroom.
Yeah.
FYI, how many years first team All-American, Scholastic All-American you were?
I was 13.
Wow.
Or second team. I can't remember.
Second team. Scholastic. Yeah, so you made the grade and played.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And played.
That's the way it should be.
Well, I couldn't do it again. Let's put it that way.
Wasn't easy, was it?
Now, one thing we have not heard mentioned in a very long time now? Remember the NCAA, we were going through that whole thing about grade point average, and you had your graduation rate, and schools were being docked postseason eligibility depending on if their graduation rate under the formula fell so low. Mm-hmm. When's the last time we heard about that?
Yeah.
When did that rule just get thrown out because now you can't even keep track of what school's responsible for a kid's graduation?
Right. Yeah. They're not student athletes anymore. It's just an athlete.
And really they used to have an all academic SEC team.
Sure.
I don't know when the last time they had that was, but it's been a while. So I don't know. I don't know. But it just seems to me like some of these players would with the kind of money that's being thrown out there would be better just to stay in school and get their education. And because you go play pro basketball or pro football or whatever, let's say you get sent out there to California, sent to New York, those aren't cheap places to live.
Absolutely not.
And there you are, you got to pay your agent, and the taxes are going to take a third of the money. And then you got to have a place to stay, and you got to buy your own food, and so hey, it gets into that $5 or $6 million. Is what I'm trying to say.
Sure
I mean
does.
that sounds like a lot of money, but
what about the one thing we haven't addressed today are those fans that go and buy those jerseys with the names of the players on the back. Well, they don't last long. Those jerseys.
Yeah.
Should they be able to trade them in and get a new one next year?
Just
or
put
get a
Velcro on the back and put the name on
Velcro.
Velcro and just jerk it off and find another one.
Those poor fans that are buying all that merchandise.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you're starting to see this. Fans aren't buying that merchandise anymore.
That'd be another
That
thing.
is dropping off.
Really?
And
I
think
can
about
imagine.
it. That was the whole basis for the beginning of the lawsuit that opened this up for NIL, was for players to capitalize
on jersey.
on those jersey sales.
Yep, that's right.
For players to get their cut of their jersey being sold.
Right.
That was the heart of all this. But because players are jumping from team to team, sometimes every year, fans are getting worn out, and they're not buying a new jersey every year.
No, wow.
They're not,
Yep,
true. They'll buy a new quarterback's jersey every 4 years.
Yeah.
But they're not paying $120, $200
for a jersey,
a
that
jersey
might be
every
for 1
year.
year. Yeah.
No.
Well, you get bored with that guy. You wear that shirt so much.
Yeah.
You're looking for another shirt, aren't you? I
And
mean,
another player.
And I'll tell you the reason you can sell this. You go to UT game, it's not like a whole sea of different numbered jerseys out there. You see the Peyton Manning jersey,
Yeah.
or you might
Stayed 4 years, guys.
you know,
Yes.
you don't see
Came
like,
back
you
his
don't see
senior
a whole
year.
sea of like
Yeah.
100 different numbers out there with different names on the back. They're not selling like they did, and that was the whole point of this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I'm looking for that guy that stays 4 years now,
Yeah.
plays, and the Peyton Manning. Here he was a junior, and he could have gone pro. There was all that. Well, he's probably going to go because he doesn't want to risk getting hurt. You hear that. But here's a guy that stayed, and he got his degree, and he went on, and he had a great pro
Jerseys.
career. It didn't hurt him at all to fulfill that 4-year obligation before he went on to the pros. So
J.P. Estrella did 75% of 4 years.
yeah.
That player
Then
you
he's
told me
gone.
from Tennessee Connect that was there 1 year, and they wanted to retire his number.
Yeah, there was. Remember that there was
No,
some talk
unless you
about
play
retiring his
4
number.
years, no numbers retired. But that's just surprising. 1 year.
And that's become Tennessee's model. I mean, that has been the Rick Barnes model the last 4 seasons, is to bring in that mid-level guy that you think can be a 30-point scorer.
Yeah, and he's been real successful
And
in doing
it's
that.
worked.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Donnie Moore will provide some high school scores from around the area, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons will step up to plate with his Mark It Down segment. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the GoTeez Sports Page, and Donnie Moore, you got some scores from around the area?
I got a few scores that I can lay on you right
some
now.
baseball scores. Boy, they've had some
Yeah.
nice weather. I'll tell that. I'll
They
say
have.
that. They hadn't had to fight any raindrops or cold weather here
Nope.
the last week or two.
It's been
Yeah.
nice, really has, and looking nice all week this week too for more games. This segment we like to call our local focus, sponsored by our friends at Mandy B Street Realty. Anything realty related, see Mandy. She'll take care of you. Mandy B Street Realty.
Hey, we're in that time of the year, Donnie. Don't steal home without her.
That's right. Don't steal home
Oh,
without.
wow.
That's a good spot.
Good one,
wasn't it?
Marcus.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
They
you're in the
can
wrong.
use that.
You're
You
in the
wanna
you're in the wrong
Trademark
profession.
that. Trademark that.
Yeah.
I think it's already been trademarked.
Has he
Pretty
been-
sure it has.
He's been thinking about that all weekend.
Okay, prep sports. Let's look at it a little bit. Baseball, starting with baseball.
So let me say, most of these scores are coming from the ETBCA Classic.
Yes.
East
most of
Tennessee
the teams
Baseball
are-
Coaches Association Classic
Most
this
of
weekend.
the teams are in the Classic this
And
weekend.
I believe I may have missed one. Somebody might be sitting out, but I believe almost all 6 teams are playing today, at least one game.
Yeah, cool. Well, last night's action saw Carnes coming to Alcoa and walking away with the victory, 8-4 over the Tornadoes. Eagleton College and Career Academy keeps winning. They have won a lot of games this season, but they beat Oliver Springs 14-6. Greenback fell to South Doyle last night, 16-9. And then today at 11 o'clock, should be going on as we speak.
There should be warming up right now.
Yep, Heritage and Bearden are going to clash. Last night, Maryville High School fell to Westfield, Indiana. You know where that is, John?
Yeah.
That's right down the street from us. We go up there and eat a lot in Westfield. Congratulations. That's about all I know about baseball.
Got good facilities up there
They
too.
got
don't they?
wonderful facilities.
Looks like they got a good baseball team, too.
Yeah.
They beat Maryville 5-3 last night.
Wow.
So, and let me kick in.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Maryville hadn't lost since March 18.
I knew it'd been a while. Wow, March 18th. Good gracious.
That's according to Caleb.
Yeah, well, we trust Caleb, so at least to a point.
Tough to fill the seat of Caleb like today. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Seymour was victorious over Clinton last night, 6-4, and William Blunt shut out Powell 6-0. Moving to, and like Marcus said, most of those teams are playing today as well, so you can look for those scores later on this afternoon.
Do you want me to run down that list?
Go ahead if you want.
All
You
right,
got it
so
right there handy.
The last, let me preface that this is, with tournaments, some of these things can get moved around.
Well, of course they can.
But we have, like you mentioned, 11 a.m. Heritage is at Bearden. Also at 11 a.m. Knox Halls is at Maryville. 1 p.m. Maryville Christian is at South Doyle. 1:30 Heritage plays a second game. They'll be playing Greenville at Bearden. Maryville's second game is at 1:30. They'll have Science Hill. And also at 1:30, William Blunt will take on Daniel Boone over at Knox Central. So it's a busy slate for the baseball guys today.
Wonder if old Daniel brought his coonskin cap with him.
We'll hope not. He doesn't play as well without it.
No, no doubt. Let's move on to a couple of softball scores I've got for you for the last evening. The Kings Academy put a whooping on Northview, 16-6 softball.
And that is why there are rules in Sevier County about kids playing at Kings Academy now. So
They're trying to throttle them a little bit.
still some soreness about that.
I'll bet. And also in softball, Alcoa was victorious over Gibbs 3-2. Now I'm sure that was a ball game. Gibbs is a good team.
That is one of the better games so far this year. And that was in the Gibbs Invitational, which is going on this weekend as well. And I believe William Blunt and Alcoa are both playing in that. Started, I think, yesterday, and then today. No rain in the forecast, so I think it will end tonight. But Alcoa and Gibbs have met several times over the last few years in that tournament, and it has been a good preview for what you're going to see at the state tournament, because these are two teams that are essentially have the ability. We can count on being there. They should be there. They won't face each other at state, but this is as good a test as you're going to see between two real powerful programs.
Yeah, they are two very powerful programs. And moving on to boys soccer action, Maryville High School shuts out Alcoa last night 7-0, 7-0, I should say.
Yeah, that Pistol Creek rivalry is alive and well despite the score.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, that's all the scores I have. Marcus, you got anything to add?
Well, we also have Maryville Tennis is at the Hendersonville Invitational. They've been making that trip for years. Coach Burns has been taking them. That's the best place to get a preview for what's going to happen a month from now at Spring Fling is at the Hendersonville tournament. So, and Maryville's been playing exceptionally well this year. Also going on, there's a lacrosse tournament. Maryville boys have 2 games today. They have a noon game with Saudi Daisy, and then they play host Walker Valley at 6 p.m. And then also the Maryville girls will be playing Green Hill out of Nashville today, tonight at 6. So it's a busy weekend, and if we didn't list your team playing a game today, chances are it's because there's prom tonight. Yeah. I'm going to say that as to why we have nobody here for the Mark It Down segment is because all of the teams that seemed to not have the day off was because they had prom tonight.
Prom.
So there are multiple proms going on.
They're all getting their hair fixed.
So let me say, if you're planning on coming out to eat in downtown Maryville tonight, it might be a good idea to plan to come early because you might see a lot of people out getting dinner in tuxes tonight around town.
Anybody on the marquee across the street at the Capitol?
It is CHS, but we don't know which seed that is.
I don't know.
Well, I can tell you this, if there's people out eating tonight and those people are in tuxes going to the prom, those people are going to be underdressed around those people that are all dressed up. Let's put it that way.
Definitely.
So
this guy right here, prom stud, white dinner jacket, black pants. Humphrey Bogart had nothing on this guy from Greenfield, Indiana.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gunner could not only shoot the ball, but he could dress.
Yeah. Yeah.
He couldn't just put the moves on the court.
Yeah.
At the prom too.
Yeah, no,
and actually had a date.
Yeah, he actually found somebody that would go with him.
Oh me.
Anything else?
I'm going to sit on the comment for that because I'm sure we're going to get in trouble.
Let's move on.
Sorry to bring that up.
There was something about Mike making a pass, but I wasn't going to go there all the way. But no, score-wise, I think that does it. But I'm still ready to mark it down when you're ready.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our veteran sports writer, Marcus Fitzsimmons, for his feature, Mark It Down. Now, after I tell you that you're listening to WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM, Mid-Century Radio. Marcus?
Well, thanks, Donnie. Donnie, you know what today is? You remember?
No.
Uh-oh.
Okay, it's April 11th.
I know, yeah,
so
it's April 11th.
A month and 2 days away, May 13th. We will be closing out the season with the GoTeez Sports Page Award Show.
That's right.
I thought that was opening day at the track at the Speedway.
Yeah,
it could be that too, but we won't talk about that. But I think the listeners have gotten used to us at this point that we're now closing the show out with this award show. This year, the host will be Eagleton College and Career Academy. It will be over at their gym. Went through and did a walkthrough with our current athletic director of the year, Scott West. Went through and looked at where we're going to be set up and what we're going to be doing. And folks at GoTeez were making a lot of notes, so I think they've got a couple new tricks up their sleeve ready for this year. But something new this year, if people have not noticed, and it's possible they haven't, but our athletes of the year, our large school athlete of the year for boys, our large school athlete of the year for girls, our small school for girls and small school for boys, those aren't going to the committee this year. Those are actually up for fan voting right now on the dailytimes.com in the Reader's Choice Awards. So you can go on and vote for your school's Athlete of the Year and support them in the campaign to be the GoTeez Player of the Year.
Nice.
So that is running.
Very
Is
cool.
running right now. That will close out on April 30th. And like I said, you can go to the dailytimes.com and hit the Reader's Choice Awards, and that is part of the ballot this year. Under Sports Awards, you can vote for that category. You also have Coaches of the Year also in there, so those will be decided by popular vote, and those are also up and available. So if you haven't voted yet, this is the time
Very
to
nice.
start spreading the
we
word.
Encourage you to vote.
The committee will be meeting probably in the next 10 days. We'll be starting to get together and we'll be going through the nominees. They're coming from the schools and start whittling those down. And you can go ahead and book the date, May 13. We're going to be over at Eagleton. We'll be broadcasting live. From what I understand, we will be on the radio this year, not just live streaming, but we will make the radio try to make the radio connection and be on the air with the show as well.
Good.
So, and if you haven't listened to us before, there's a whole pageantry that goes on that GoTeez puts on for these awards.
Oh, it's a show.
It's a show out there in the gymnasium. Fills the stands usually. They'll have the kids will be introduced. Usually they arrange for like Bigfoot popcorn or somebody to come in and provide some snacks and whatever at the concessions. Meanwhile, we're like the Oscars. We're backstage. So as the winners come off the stage, they are directed to us, and we do the Joan Collins thing. We're back there talking to them and talking
We
to the
do a little
winners and
quick
doing
interview.
some interviews, and they bring their and we haven't seen them yet, so I have not heard if we're sticking with the Captain America Shields awards. But
Yeah,
they have in the
that
past been circular awards that look like Captain America Shield, with the winner's name on them. So we don't. They're keeping that under wraps still. I don't know if that is still the thing. We'd have to.
That's a
talk to
GoTeez thing.
Well, it's a fast science thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a fast science. So we don't know. They're still keeping it under wraps, but they bring them back. They bring their awards back. They sit down. We do a quick interview with them and talk to them about the award. And in some of these categories, as much as we try, we can't get everybody on. But there's only so many Saturdays in a season.
True.
But we've had some of the best interviews we've had in the past have been with some of the sports that we usually don't see, such as shooting sports, the cheerleaders,
Bowling.
We've had some good bowling interviews this year.
We have.
Dance team, band. Last year's band interview was incredible.
It was great.
Just some people you usually don't see or hear on the radio that we give a moment of the spotlight, and GoTeez does a great job encompassing all of student athletics across the schools, dipping into some of the clubs level programs, and it turns out to be a great night. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a month away though. Month and 2 days. You got to start getting ready.
Got it.
And they asked who was going to come out to present the Lon Hersburn Award this year, and I said you and Mike would have to fight about it. I didn't say if you were going to be fighting to see who got to go or who had to go, but I told him you all could fight about it. So Brian wants to know if I can sell tickets to that.
Maybe you guys could get
Sure.
Tim Burchett
To the fight,
come
you
down.
mean?
To the fight.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Burchett to come down and present it.
But and I will say I understand that we do have Brian Rice back as our announcer
Good.
for
MC.
the awards to MC,
Good deal.
and
He did a great job last
he's
year.
done a wonderful job because, and I feel for him because you're walking into that, and we have some difficult last names in this county
Oh, yeah.
that can be kind of tricky, and he's done a great job working his way through it, and we appreciate him. Appreciate GoTeez for putting it on.
Sure.
But like I said, the nominees are still coming in, and once those nominees are finalized, we'll start letting the athletes know through the schools, through the athletic directors. They'll have the list of
things will start moving
of the
pretty quickly
invitees for the award show.
at that point.
So there's no need to call Mike at home and ask him if you're a finalist. you can go straight to the athletic director at the school, and he can let you know. But generally, our athletic directors have been really good about letting the athletes know and giving them the heads up and letting them know where the tickets are available.
Yeah, if you call Mike and ask him if you're a finalist, he's automatically going to tell you no.
Yeah. Bill,
Or he's going to want to share of your NIL money before he gives you the answer.
Yeah, for sure.
But and I touched on it, but the Lon Hershburn Award that's kind of the show ender. It's the award we've been giving out since this was the Excel Awards back here at Bluetick when we did it upstairs and had a much smaller production that we were putting on ourselves. But
albeit very nicely.
It was nice, and you know, Charlie wrangled most of that up a lot, and it was a really nice thing, and it's just grown to something I don't even know if we can compare it now, but the Lonnie has been
oranges
the Lonnie has been around since that Excel Awards days, and we give that out to a coach, volunteer administrator. There's not a really set criteria on that because Lonnie encompassed a lot of things in his career.
He sure did.
But we give somebody that's made a lasting impact on
Yes.
Blount County sports.
Indeed.
And last year we gave it to Chris Frary at Alcoa. Well, currently at Alcoa, but he's been at William Blount, and I think, did he tell us he had a stint at Heritage for a year before he got to William Blount?
I don't know.
I don't remember for certain.
he's moved around more than these
He
guys
has.
in the
But
transfer portal.
but you know, when you talk about running, whether it be track, cross country in this county, I mean, that's pretty much.
Oh yeah.
You can't discuss
He's
it
synonymous. No.
without talking about Chris, and he was I think as surprised as anybody last year when he was announced. He wasn't expecting it, so we were happy to present that to him last year. But it's time to give out another one, and the list is rather long and established. It's going to be a tough pick this year, so we'll see what happens. But I just we wanted to give that shout out and give people the heads up that it's coming. We have a date, we have a venue.
Yeah, put it on your calendar.
And you can tune in for that special Wednesday night show, and that closes out our season when we're done. When we get that show done,
That's true.
We won't be back the following Saturday. We won't come back until August for football season.
That's right.
we get that break during the year, but you can go ahead and put it on your calendars.
Definitely.
Hey, Mike, if you want to go back in, we can talk NIL some more. You want to turn the page and get us started next segment? You can do whatever.
I want to leave NIL. I want to talk a little bit about the orange and white game today. You know, Caleb Giroux's over there, and that's why he's not here this morning. And Coach Iruli's up at Carson Newman. I think their spring game is today. So the orange and white football game at UT will kick off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Admission is free. Supposedly you got to have a claim ticket online in advance to get in. Construction is going on over there, so there is a limit as far as seating capacity. I think that's going on in the south end zone at construction. The game is not going to be on TV, but it will be broadcast on the Vol Network. And the Vol Village is open. It opened about 20 minutes ago over there. Live bands, food trucks, Spirit Squad, VFL Sturl the Pearl. You know, he'll be over there.
Sturl the Pearl.
I don't know whether he's got a VFL hat or not, but we'll get him one of these days. But anyway, that's I don't know. It's a dog and pony show, and I know admission's free, but we've talked about this a million times. And wouldn't it be really nice if Notre Dame or Miami or Ohio State or Indiana was coming in here today was coming in here for a scrimmage today, Marcus? I can tell you right now, if that was happening, it'd be a whole lot more interesting. There wouldn't be any. The admission would not be free.
Admission would not be free. And something tells me Gate 10 would be open, which it will not be today.
Yeah. But I hope that one of these days, you know, the pros do that. You know, they have scrimmages against other pro teams,
right.
You know, and it would just be nice for the colleges for a spring game, you know, to bring someone in and have even if it's kind of a controlled scrimmage, it would be a lot better than just sort of looking at your own squad over there.
Like the jamborees.
Kind of like a dog and pony show over there today. It's more hype than anything else, and more PR.
We've seen a lot of dog and pony shows over at the university.
And the problem, I love the idea. I think it'd be fantastic. It's just I feel like kind of what's happened with college basketball in these exhibition games, where they've basically become an actual game that doesn't count. I don't think it works with that. I wouldn't want to see it become that. I'd like to see it as a spring game where you're actually working your like the NFL does, where you're actually working your players, where you're going to see all three quarterbacks. You're going to see all these guys on the roster and get an idea of what they can do against somebody else, and not have it a competitive thing where you're trying to win at the end.
Yeah.
Because that's not the point of spring ball. You want everybody to get out there and
Well,
prove what they can do
the thing,
and hit somebody.
The thing that I would like to see as far as a scrimmage from another school in the spring is it would really tell you where you're at this point, going into the fall. I think Coach Hersburn and Coach Trail really liked that idea when we used to talk about it on the show, because it really kind of told you where your team is against somebody really outstanding. Whereas now you're going against each other, and you got some idea, but you still got a lot of question marks and so forth. And one of the question marks they've got over there, and I don't know how much today is going to have any bearing on it, but you've got the quarterback situation. You got George McIntyre and Fazan Brandon and Ryan Staub all going for that position, and they've kept everything pretty quiet, as far as the spring practices, and I don't know where we're really at on that. I don't know that anybody does, but today you're going to get to see those guys out there on the field in a game-like situation, but are we going to know after today, going into the fall, who the quarterback's going to be?
I don't think we'll have any clue.
I say no.
I mean, you're just going to look down there, and you're going to see, okay, offense is in orange, defense is in white, the quarterbacks are in smoky grays, and you're going to look at those guys in the smoky grays, and I don't think you'll be able to tell one thing from looking at them in drills and some of the situational scrimmages they're talking about. I don't know that you're going to be able to see anything that's going to give you one clue.
I don't think so either.
If that's going to be the case, and we go into fall camp, not really knowing who's going to be the quarterback, and I always go back to Lonnie and Ray.
Yeah.
When we have these types of situations, and we've been in them over there before, they would always respond by, "Yeah, we got three quarterbacks, and you know what? When we got three quarterbacks, we don't have any. We don't have any quarterbacks."
Well, you got three, you don't have one.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, there are some things that there are some benefits to today, because it's they can make it like a game day,
right,
as far as the atmosphere, and there's going to be people in the stands, and that adds to the excitement and so forth. But can we look at you got a new defensive coordinator? Can you zero in on the defense today and maybe get some answers there on how they're going to look for next fall?
I don't know that you can. I don't think you can, because we're going to see so little scrimmage that's going to be live tackling. I don't think you can, because they're going to be using thud tackling for, I think, about half of this.
And when I go through this stuff, I'm thinking, if we got Ohio State in here today and it's a live scrimmage and you got your defense out there, by golly, we can find out a few things.
You sure could.
But,
just can't risk injury.
Yeah, that's the main, and John, that's the main deal. They're afraid of injuries.
They're afraid of injuries, and it's kind of becoming like that NFL All-Star game. Where back in the day they used to hit and they used to play the game, but now it's just a touch football because there's just so much involved.
They play that flag football with the Mannings, and I'm okay with that for the pros, because at that point the season's over. They're playing in that week before the Super Bowl.
You still risk injury, ACL.
But and that was the thing, was the players didn't want to play anymore.
Right.
And at that point,
liability.
It's not like
it's a liability.
It's an all-star game, and you're not. It's not like in baseball where it actually has something that matters at the end as to who gets home rights for the World Series. But with spring ball, your point is to figure out some things for your team. The fan part is just there, and was a nice idea from some coach at some point to say, "Hey, we'll do a spring game, and we'll let the fans come and buy tickets. We'll get a little more extra money." it's morphed into something else, and because of it, it's now morphed into something where it's not.
Yeah.
And it's more about the show
Turn it-
than learning
Yeah,
anything
Turn
about
it
the team.
into a
We-
7-on-7
When Lon, yeah, go ahead. Now.
where the quarterbacks and the receivers would make that more of the thing where you're not risking injury with running backs and linemen.
Well, when Lon Herburn and Ray Trailcroft over there, they weren't concerned about injuries. They
No.
were concerned about who won the orange and white game. There was one of those coaches on the orange team and one on the white team, and it was the number one offense against the number one defense.
And it was a
that's the way it
competition.
was.
Very
And if
competitive,
you won
too.
the orange and white games, you got steaks. You got steaks, baked potato, green
Oh.
beans, dessert, and training table. And if you lost, you got hot dogs. So, you know.
And not
it
even
was,
Smoky Mountain Market
yeah,
hot dogs.
and there was a lot of libbing and talking back and forth the week before that game. I can tell you, there
Well,
was a
that's
lot
where
of
you're-
excitement. And if
that's-
those two guys are sitting here this morning, they're going, "Can't get any better unless you hit.
And here's
you got to
the,
hit."
And here's the thing. I don't think. I mean, it's all what you said. Injuries. You can't risk
Yeah.
anybody. Da da da.
Yeah.
But really, when you sit and think about it, has it really made that big a difference in the injury situation for any team?
Probably not.
I think it's actually contributed the other direction.
Yeah.
Because your guys just aren't hitting as much. I'm not saying you have to wear each other out, and Lonnie might probably disagree with me about that. But I think when you get to the point your only contact you're really getting is on Saturday, you're not used to the contact, and that's contributing to more devastating injuries on Saturdays than what we saw before.
Yeah, it's like driving a car. I got to drive my car really slow and take my time and everything. What happens? You hit somebody.
He's not kidding.
But
Slow.
I mean, if you drive 30 miles an hour,
No matter how
30
careful.
miles an hour on Alcoa Highway
No
6 days a week, and then you get out there and drive 80 on Pillissippi on Sundays, that's not a good recipe for a nice situation at the end of the day.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to turn the page here, and we're going to come back and talk some UT baseball and softball, and it will be a part of the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the GoTeez Sports Page Player of the Week segment, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority, proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. Talk a little bit about the Tennessee baseball team, and Josh Erlander's squad started the week at 20-12 overall and 4-8 in the SEC. 14th, they were in 14th place in the SEC standings going into the week, but they're 2-0 this week. They beat Northern Kentucky on Tuesday, 12-6, and then boy, they got a good win last night down at Mississippi State, number 9. Ranked Mississippi State, 6-5. Marcus, that was a good lick down there last night for that baseball team. They needed that.
They needed a good Friday after the way the last 2 SEC series have gone.
Yeah.
And they needed, ironically, on the road, which was nice. It reminds you a little bit how the Georgia series kind of went. But I think the fans want to see. Would feel a lot better if it wasn't even close, but you'll take a win for a win right now.
Yeah. And, of course, they dropped a series last weekend to LSU at home, and the weekend before they lost a series at Vanderbilt. They were swept over there at Vanderbilt, I believe, in Nashville.
But it was the most exciting sweep I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, a lot of extra inning play.
All
those
three
fans
games
got a lot of money for their buck over there.
You had a fantastic. We talked about the Friday opener last week, and it was a fantastic walk-off situation, but it was a great game to watch. And Saturday turned into a marathon. You almost got a whole free game. I think it went 16 innings. So, I mean, that's more than a Saturday doubleheader.
Yeah.
And then Sunday turns into a scoring fest. It still went extra innings.
Yeah.
I think there were almost 40 runs in that game.
And those are tough games to lose, those extra innings.
What hurts Tennessee is you come away from that weekend playing really good ball in a lot of ways and a lot of situations, and you come out of it 0-3.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they'll be back at it tonight at 7 o'clock down at Mississippi State, and they play tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The Lady Vol softball team under Karen Weekly, they started the week at 32-6, 9-6 in the SEC, and they're 7th in the SEC standings. And they had two wins during the week. East Tennessee State on Tuesday, 12-0, and Kennesaw State on Wednesday, 13-5. And they're up at Kentucky for a series up there. Oddly enough, that series starts today, and it won't end till Monday. Usually they're Friday to Sunday series, so this is a little bit different.
It's that SEC Network special where whoever gets that Saturday series, they're guaranteed a primetime game on Monday on the SEC Network.
Yes, and they play today at 1. Tomorrow they play at 6, and that game will be on the SEC Network. And then the Monday game at 7 will be on the SEC Network. So they're going to get some media coverage of this weekend. And they were having some trouble, on their weekend series, but last weekend they beat South Carolina.
Yeah, what does that tell you about the SEC when Tennessee has lost 6 games and they've all been to SEC opponents?
Yeah, and they're 7th place in the league.
Yeah.
After getting off to that
and
great
won
start.
after winning 32 ball games.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a big week for them in a lot of ways because they play that Monday SEC game in Kentucky, in Lexington, and I don't know how they're going to make this trip because there's no direct way to get there by the road. But then they go to Durham, North Carolina, because they're going to play Duke on Wednesday night on ESPN. So it's not a cupcake midweek game. It's a ACC midweek game, and it's on short rest because you play the Monday night game. But
with
I don't
possible
know.
transportation
I'm hoping
problems.
They're flying because if you take a bus, I think you'd have to come back to Knoxville to get over to Durham.
I think you do.
Yeah. Well, if it gets down to the last 10 seconds, I believe Tennessee can handle Duke over there, don't you, Donnie?
I think so too.
Well, this is baseball. There's no time.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that.
But we know what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we caught the reference.
They probably still got a hangover over there on that deal in the game there going to the Final Four.
Oh, boy.
Man, I'll tell you what, that was something else. Hey, Vol basketball. We hit on the fact that they're needing some players. Rick Barnes.
Yeah, they are.
They have had some players into the transfer portal. Cade Phillips, Clarence Masamba, J.P. Estrella, Bishop Boswell, Jalen Carey. Troy Henderson went in, but he backed out.
Yeah,
He'll be coming back. And Amari Evans is in. And then you've got Nate Ament. It looks like, well, there are a lot of expectations of him to declare for the NBA draft.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they lost Jacoby Gillespie, Felix Opara, and Amari Abram. They got some work to do over there, Marshall.
Sure do.
I mean, they're going to have to go to the portal and they've got Tyler Lundblade that they signed from Belmont, an outstanding shooter, and then they've got some players that they got coming in that I guess out of high school or whatever, Ralph Scott, Manny Green, and Marquise Clark. But my golly, He's needing some point guards. He's needing some wing shooters. He's needing some ends. He's needing a little bit of everything.
Well,
Needs a basketball team.
We've been here. We've been here before. I think
Yeah.
we had this conversation right after Easter last
Yeah.
year. And it still feels weird because even when NIL started, we still had Tennessee was a little bit of an exception because we had so many of those guys that wanted to stay their extra COVID year. And Tennessee ended up being like a little bit behind the curve as far as having to go to the portal every year because you had guys battling for that extra year of eligibility, wanting to play year 5 or 6 from that group. And now we're in our, I guess, our 4th year of this. But even the guys you thought might stay, you know, I don't think he. I mean, you could say Estrella had some money out there he could make, but I don't think he's going. I don't think he's getting significantly more in Michigan. I mean, I don't know why you leave at that
It
point.
boggles my
Wouldn't think
mind
so.
that a premier basketball program like Tennessee that year after year consistently goes to the NCAA tournament and they have to put a help wanted sign out on their arena
Well,
to
I think
get ball players to come here to play.
I think when
I
you
just
look at
stay.
when you look at the signing from Belmont, I think you see what Coach Barnes has done as his model, which is he can go out and sell. We're looking for the guy we're going to feed the ball to be the 30-point scorer. We want that guy. And then he goes out and says, what's the cast that goes with this? And by the way, you got to be able to play a whole lot of defense, and I want 2 bigs over 6'10".
Exactly.
Looks like they did pick up a shooter from Belmont.
That's
Yeah.
who who we're
Tyler
thinking is going to be the
Lundblad,
next.
and that, that's a good start, isn't it? Get a
Yeah.
guy come in at shoot
Sure.
ball.
That's a good start.
But-
But he's got 7 players on the roster right now. You know, he's got Ethan Berg and Dwayne Brown and Troy Henderson. You know that's been here.
That's
But-
7
but-
more than the
but
Lady Vols
listen,
have.
If he was
Oh,
looking,
my,
if
yeah.
all those guys had
They
stayed,
picked up someone.
you know,
this week.
Boswell had some good moments this year. Estrella, he had to fight some injuries, but he gave him some good moments this year. Cade Phillips, he's fully capable. And then you're looking at Jalen Carey that came in here from Vanderbilt, and probably that's the guy that didn't develop this year. I
Right.
really thought he would develop
I
and
did too.
be a force in there, but he was kind of a disappointment. But guys, if those guys were coming back, plus what you're bringing in here, and pick up somebody from, man, you're looking at a pretty good basketball team. Right there on paper going in, Marcus.
Oh yeah. No,
But-
nobody's going to argue with you about
No,
it.
I
But
know, but
is the I think basketball has become, if you want to put it on the scale of where the issues are the worst, basketball is by far leading the NCAA's.
Well.
This is where all the problems are hitting the spotlight and reaching extremes, because you're seeing whole teams leave. You're seeing people who, we played 3 years here and I'm the starter, but I'm not going to stay for my senior year.
Yeah.
You see
JT.
guys who are like looking, I want to play for my 5th team in 5 years. I mean, you're seeing every extreme taking place in college basketball on a massive scale in comparison to what you're seeing in every other sport.
well, Estrella gets up there to Michigan and the winter hits up there and his ears start turning blue. He'll wish he was back down here. I can tell you that right now. And his hair may start to turn blonde
They
up there
might
too.
do it.
Those winters up there, they're brutal.
They're
What is it,
frosty.
they freeze the color out of it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That cold weather will bleach his hair blonde up there, but he'll have the blue ears for sure. he'll be definitely not going to class. He'll be doing those, what do you call them, those line courses on computers. So so he don't have to get out in that weather
Yeah.
up there. Yeah.
Stay
Who
by
was it?
fire.
Lonnie used to say about Minnesota.
Yeah.
Remember, Donnie would say, we'd have some discussion about Minnesota, and Lonnie go, well, they're the Gophers. And he'd go, you know why they're the Gophers? And everybody's going, no, I guess it's just their nickname. They got a lot of Gophers up there. No, it's because you go to class underground.
Yeah, tunnels. They have tunnels.
They have tunnels
Built
up there
everywhere.
where you go underground.
really?
I never knew whether that was true or not. Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe I should look it up. But Lonnie used to say, yeah, that's how they got their name, the Gophers, because there's no sidewalks up there. They just walk to class because it's so cold under the ground. And we just sat here and took all of it, like it was the truth.
Yeah, well,
So maybe it was. I
'cause
don't
we
know.
didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to go on a field trip one day and find out.
Yeah. Hey, they got a couple of players coming in, I guess, here coming up. Terrence Hill Jr. from VCU, guard who averaged 15 points, pretty quality player as a replacement for Gillespie. And then they got another guy, Day Ames, from University of California, point guard, and he averaged 16.9 points per game. So they got a couple of guards there that they're looking at, and we'll see how that materializes as the week comes out.
They had another player from Notre Dame also interested, possibly, that could transfer in, named Jalen Harrison, who could help also. So they got, I mean, it's the 26th. They got the 26th.
Hey, maybe
to make up a mind.
Coach Barnes may enjoy this. You know, a little bit of drama in his program. Let's go out there and get some people, and you know he's pretty good at it.
Yeah, let's go build a program.
He's done it the last 3 years, and he's went to the Elite Eight. The last 3 years, it's not like we're rebuilding every year. We just go out there and we just reload with an all-star team.
It keeps it exciting.
I
guess.
guess.
For them on their toes.
As long as the money holds out, we'll be fine.
There's no developing a player from their freshman year, on up to their senior.
No.
Hey, the Lady Vol program, you know, they had 8 players leave, and they had signed Olivia Edwards, but she backed out, and of course, Elisa Latham, she signed with Virginia Tech, and Talasia Cooper. She's going to have to deal with her because she's going to Ole Miss. She'll be in the SEC, but she's got the only player on the roster going in, I think, here to this week was 4-star signee Gabby Minus. But they did get Liberty guard Avery Mills committed at 15.3 scoring average and 42% from three-point range, and Naomi White from Northern Arizona. Marcus, did you notice anybody else?
I haven't seen anybody else in the last day or two added.
So she's got 3 players on her roster.
She's got a lot of recruiting to do, and you can use that as a good thing or a bad thing. It's going to be a hard spin to make it a good thing for stability-wise, but it might be a sell to certain types of players that this is your opportunity, and maybe that Lady Vol that name carries a little bit that you can be a Lady Vol. Maybe that's still pertinent on the recruiting trail. Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Well, this is an awful tough basketball league in women's.
It really is.
It is a tough basketball league, and this is a scary situation right here where you got 3 players on your roster. And I'm not taking anything away from Liberty, but you got one coming from Liberty and you got one coming from Northern Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to take anything away from either one of those schools, and then you got a 4-star signee out of high school. And that's what you got right now.
That's it.
We've been saying for a couple of weeks now that it was going to be a make or break year for her.
Yeah,
so, and in a perverse kind of way, this kind of pretty much gives her job security because what coach in their right mind would want to walk into this situation?
Exactly.
You don't even have a roster.
Yeah.
So
it's hard for me to imagine that this once storied basketball program that was always at the top of the heap, that had players that wanted to come here.
Right.
Hey, Pathead Summit just sat there and she picked. I mean, you know, I know that it was hard for her to recruit maybe against Gino up at Connecticut and some of these other programs, but basically.
But in the Southeast?
She had the pick of the cream of the crop down here, and
she
dominated the SEC outside of basically Georgia. Andy Landers down there, you know, he competed with her pretty good. But for the SEC, it was pretty much Pathead Summit owned it.
Sure did.
And she was able just to take her pick of what players she went in here, and now we're out there. This program is out there trying to put a roster together.
Scratch and claw.
It's just
compete.
It's just you would never think it would be at this point.
No, and you know, it's if you want to make that comparison, go back to where we were talking about in the first hour. There is no greater distance between now and then than looking at Pat Summit. When she retired, every Lady Vol who played for her for 4 years had graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
To where we are now, where you can have an entire team hit the portal.
Yeah.
Or graduate or be out of eligibility or hit the portal.
Right. Yeah. It would have been interesting to see Pathead Summit coaching today in today's situation.
I don't know.
Would she be dealing with the transfer portal like Rick Barnes and other schools across?
I don't know that she could. I don't know that she could adapt to that kind of a change, because she had so much she put so much emphasis on getting your degree,
Yes.
going to class, getting
Yes.
your education.
The way it should be.
I don't know that this is something she could. I think she would have been a Nick Saban. I think this would have been what made her retire had she not had to battle what she did.
Yeah.
This would have been what made her leave.
Had a few good coaches already, men's basketball, that have retired
Yes.
because of the NIL portal situation. So, yeah.
And a lot of them that's in it that don't like it.
That don't like it. Yeah.
And that's the
so
other
you
side
just
of the
you have to
coin.
learn to adapt or step away.
Yeah. Hey, it's time for a break here, and when we return, it's the Boyd Sports Spotlight segment. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. Donnie Moore, I noticed where NASCAR's up in Bristol this weekend, and you may have something in there, maybe not. But anyway, they're up here. The weather didn't get that because it usually is raining.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. You can just about count on it raining
They're
when
getting
they
a
go
real
to Bristol.
break. They're getting a real break this weekend because it just seems like it rains up there every time they have a race.
What a
up at
treat
Bristol.
to have a Bristol race
Yeah.
with clear
Yeah.
weather. Wow.
Well,
You're
I'll,
right.
I'll turn it over to you for the sports headline.
Thank you, sir. Let's move on to our sports headlines segment, brought to you as always by our friends at Fast Signs. As of 2026 opening day, the average player salary in Major League Baseball rose 3.4% from last year's season opener to $5.34 million. That's the average Major League players per player. 780 from the league minimum anyway. 780,000 is the league minimum. But from that league minimum, the highest paid player makes $60 million plus. I'll tell you who it is in just a minute. The 5 players in the majors who pull in the largest paychecks are, number 1, Juan Soto from the Mets, whose contract requires the Mets to pay him $61.9 million a year. Number 2 is Cody Bellinger of the Yankees, coming in at $42.5 million a year. Number 3, Zach Wheeler of the Phillies, $42 million. Number 4, Bo Bichette of the Mets at $42 million. And number 5, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Blue Jays, $40.2 million. Now, get this statistic right here. The Mets team payroll, what the Mets pay their players in a lump sum, is $352.2 million. And the Cleveland Guardians team payroll is $62.3 million. Now, there's a discrepancy for you. That's $400,000, only $400,000 more than Soto himself makes. So that's really a discrepancy right there in pay in the majors. Dodgers two-way superstar Shohei Ohtani drew a leadoff walk Wednesday in Toronto, and in doing so, marked his 43rd consecutive regular season game of being on base. That mark tied Hall of Famer Ichiro Suzuki for the longest such streak from a player born in Japan.
Hey,
Marcus,
I got some Suzuki news.
Give us some Suzuki news right there.
If you didn't see it yesterday, I'm going to encourage you to pull this up on your phone and Google his name for the video. But they were dedicating the statue in Seattle for him outside of the dome. The tarp comes pulled off of the statue, and apparently that tarp was very heavyweight because as it came off, it broke the bat on the statue. So as it came into appearance and all the confetti comes down, everybody suddenly notices that the bat is hanging off the end of his hand and pointed down. And you can see the little tube that's supposed to be in there holding the bat together.
Oh,
it's
wow.
a cork bat, by the way. If you're curious, the statue has a cork bat. You can see it clear as day. That there's a metal tube inside of there that's supposed to be holding it together. But they got it repaired. It's fixed. But bronze is apparently not as tough as it used to be.
What is? Except, well, never mind.
Well, at least the whole thing didn't fall down.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. This is right.
Well, the L.A. Dodgers announced on Wednesday that Davey Lopes has died at the age of 80.
Oh, wow.
Lopes, a four-time All-Star and one of the most prolific base stealers in Major League Baseball history, played 16 years in the Bigs from 1972 to 1987, the first 10 years with the Dodgers. Lopes was part of the infield, in quotes, of the Dodgers alongside first baseman Steve Garvey, shortstop Bill Russell, and third baseman Ron Say. That was a great infield.
He was a great infielder, and unfortunately that moves Charlie Paleo up another notch.
That's true, Charlie. Charlie, you're climbing the ladder, buddy. Well, the rules of etiquette are well known in the world of golf, and Masters officials weren't happy with Scottish golfer Robert McIntyre's conduct after an on-course meltdown during the first round on April the 9th. Mac was reprimanded after using his middle finger in a gesture when he hit a shot into the water.
He was just being honest.
Yeah, and they weren't happy with that. He also let loose with some profanity, I understand.
I think he was trying to direct the ball to get up, and it was just misinterpreted.
Just pointing with the wrong finger, huh?
Boys being boys.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah.
In the 2026 Frozen Four on Thursday, it took 2 overtimes, but Denver defeated number 1 Michigan on a game-winning goal from Kent Anderson with just over 7 minutes left in the second overtime. The Pioneers play Wisconsin today in the national championship game. Denver is looking for its 3rd title in the past 5 years.
And you know, it was that.
If you like hockey,
I think it was that
tune
kid,
in.
that overtime goal. I think it was the kid's 2nd goal of the year.
Oh wow! Goodness.
I mean, it wasn't like it came off of the leading scorer. It was a miracle shot from right field. It was the right guy at the right time,
Wow.
at just the right angle. For all practical purposes, the goalie should have been able to stop it, but
Didn't.
it was a great ending to that game.
Well, you want to know, according to USA Today, who the top 5 most overpaid basketball coaches in college basketball
I
are?
want to know.
How are we determining
I
this?
wanna
Fans
know.
want to know. This is according to USA Today.
Yep.
USA, and are they saying that these are the ones not worthy of the salary, or these are the ones who were just paid the most?
Who didn't perform
Okay, didn't perform.
up to specifications for the salary that they make.
Should they give
Okay.
back some of that money they
well,
earned?
good
Give it
luck
to
with
us.
that. Huh?
Give it to us, Donnie.
Give it to us.
Right.
Send it.
Yeah,
send
there
it
you
to
The
the sports
sports
page,
yeah.
the GoTeez sports
Yeah.
page.
Right.
The top 5 most overpaid basketball coaches in college basketball, in no particular order, but on top of the list anyway is Mark Pope from Kentucky. He's paid $5.25 million a year, and had an early exit from the tournament.
From the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they hit that unbelievable shot to advance in the NCAA tournament from half court.
That's true.
I don't
they did.
think that impressed the Kentucky faithful.
It didn't. It was a miraculous shot.
It was a miraculous shot,
And
but
it
you were
didn't,
also
and it
in that
didn't even make
situation.
one shining moment.
But
God, it
you-
didn't, did it?
I
but
don't
that
think
Kentucky
so. I don't
team
think it did.
put itself in that situation. So
Next on the list is another SEC team, Ole Miss, coached by Chris Beard. They went 15 for 20 lost 20 games overall and finished 4-14 in the conference this year.
But they made a run in the tournament.
They did. Yeah.
Made a little run in the
Were any
tournament
of these
there.
teams
Well, they
preseason top 25 teams?
Oh, Kentucky
have
was.
I'm sure
Kentucky was.
Yeah. Next on the list, we got Buzz Williams from Maryland,
Oh, boy.
who is paid $4.86 million a year and did not have a good season.
Wishing he was still at Texas A&M.
Yeah, no doubt.
Lefty would not be happy.
No. Next coach to make the erstwhile list here is Steve Piquel from Rutgers, who is paid $4.05 million a year.
Golly.
But part of that's compensation for having to live in New Jersey.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they'd have to pay me a lot of money to live in New Jersey.
Yeah, you know what Rutgers needed to do? They made a big mistake. You know, they got in the Big Ten. They should have gotten the Big East.
That would have been more
Hey,
competitive.
they made the
wouldn't it?
wrong.
If they
bad-
changed, would anybody notice?
Boy.
Like if they made the conference move, I don't think it would be like a
I'm
Texas
telling
moving.
you,
I think they could make the move and nobody would even notice.
Yeah, they need to make it right now.
UCLA might pay them to do it,
Yeah.
just so they'd have to
Yeah.
make one less trip across the country for conference play.
Coming in last on the list of this five, not like I said, not in any particular order, is Jeff Capel of Pittsburgh. Coming in has paid $3.95 million a year, and they didn't perform this year. As of this weekend, the Division I men's basketball transfer portal topped 2,000 players in the portal this weekend. I'd call that a major shakeup.
That's a major shakeup.
As I said, it is the highlight of this taken to the nth degree, where basically you name a player and they're up for sale.
That's true, and that's the thing to do now is getting the transfer.
There's
portal.
going to be some players that are going to be really happy, and some that are maybe going down to junior college
they're gonna be disappointed.
level. Be
And
disappointed.
we
don't
won't
hear
find
about
out. We won't find out till some of these guys who may or may not have success in basketball end up writing a book somewhere, or have somebody write a book for them, and they confess that they made a mistake on some of
Right.
these
Yeah.
when they transfer, because they're not going to be. I should have stayed at Tennessee. Should have never
Absolutely.
left.
Absolutely.
They're not going to say that at this point.
No.
We won't be until down the road that we find out just how ugly this was.
That would be a
That's
good
true.
story. Absolutely.
Let's move on to some things that happened on this day in sports for April 11th. 1907, New York Giants future Hall of Fame catcher Roger Bresnahan is the first catcher to wear shin guards.
Oh, wow.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
1907.
Yeah. Did he get a patent on that?
Did
I
that
sure hope so.
What about the guy that wore the first cup?
Oh,
Catcher.
I don't know. I don't
Shin
think
guards.
I don't think Donnie's got that on.
no, I don't have that.
No.
Okay. I think they called shin guards Bresnahans back then.
Can you do some research on that and let me know?
Oh, yeah, that's coming right up. 1921, KDKA radio station in Pittsburgh broadcast the first radio sports event, a boxing match between lightweights Johnny Ray and Johnny Dundee.
Wow.
1921.
That's when money really started changing hands.
Ah, you better believe it.
Yep.
1959, Dodgers pitcher Don Drysdale hits his second opening day home run.
You remember that?
No, I don't remember that. One of the things I remember about Drysdale was, I think it was Stan Musial was up to bat, and I think it was Walter Alston. I think Walter Alston was managing. He came out and he told him to put him on base. Put him on, walk him. Drysdale rears back and hits Musial right in the back with the ball. And Walter Alston runs out there and says, "What are you doing?" I told you, he said, "I'm not going to waste 3 more pitches on him." Go ahead.
When one will do.
When one will do, just hit him right where it back.
So-
hit him with a fastball right in the back.
Donnie, I'd say this, but you guys asked and I looked.
Okay.
So, in 1927, the modern Hard Athletic Cup was introduced by Jack Cartledge.
God, it took that long. It took that
It was,
long.
and it was sold as the Protex.
Protex.
Now, there were
Wow.
reports starting in 1904 of some professional baseball catchers using steel cups of various designs in their trousers.
Wow.
Oh boy.
But
Thanks,
now you
Mark.
have the answer. You ask, and I'm giving you.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank
so
you,
we
Marcus.
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
I'm giving
Yeah.
you the best Gemini can offer.
All right.
There you go.
1963, Milwaukee Braves future Hall of Famer Warren Spahn gets his 328th win, which is the most by a left-hander in Major League Baseball.
He was a
history.
great pitcher.
He was, wasn't he?
You know, yeah, I remember growing up and you had Warren Spahn, Lou Burdett on that Brave team, and they were
Spahn and
outstanding.
Sane and pray for rain.
Yeah, he was outstanding. Warren Spahn was.
1966, Emmett Ashford becomes the first African-American Major League umpire at the Washington versus Cleveland game at D.C. Stadium. Emmett Ashford.
Yeah, that's a
1975, Hank Aaron was traded to the Brewers from Atlanta. Wow, what a great one right
back
there.
in. Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw that home run.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that home run that 7-15. 7-15.
Yeah, Al Downing pitched the ball. You know, he was a great pitcher for the Yankees in his
Yeah.
day. Big left-hander, and he delivered that ball, and it went.
It was gone.
Hank hit it
Oh,
over
it
the
was-
left,
oh,
and there
no
was
doubter.
There was a mad scramble for that
You better
baseball.
believe it.
All eyes were watching their TV that night, and that was exciting. That was. And I'm not
Yeah.
the most huge baseball fan, but that was exciting.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
In 1981, on this day, Larry Holmes beats Trevor Burbick by unanimous decision in Vegas to retain his WBC heavyweight title.
I remember that too.
Yeah, Larry Holmes. 1999, Spain's Jose Maria Olazabal. How you like that?
Yeah.
You did well.
That's
pronouncing
beyond
that.
me.
Yeah.
He won his second Masters over Greg Norman and Davis Love III. 1999. 2004, Phil Mickelson gets his first major win, and it was the Masters. He birdied on the final hole by one. He wins one stroke over Ernie Els on the last hole of the day. Couple of birthdays to mark on this day. In 1964, a young man by the name of Brett Saberhagen was born. Cy Young Award winner in 1985. Played for the Kansas City Royals. He was born in Chicago Heights, Illinois, and he's 62 years old. Happy birthday, Brett. 1980, Mark Teixeira was born. First baseman for the Yankees and the Rangers, born in Annapolis, Maryland. He's 46 years of age. Happy birthday to these two fine athletes. That's all for this week's Sports Headlines, brought to you, as always, by Fast Signs. Oh,
Hey,
man.
Donnie?
What was that, an echo effect there?
Yeah, we're going for the reverb.
Okay.
So, from the nugget I just dug out of there, there's a 100-year anniversary next year, and for Protex, maybe we should talk with Brian about getting us a
sponsor.
sponsorship.
And you guys can thank me for that little nugget of bringing that up.
Maybe we can get some merchandise.
Oh, boy. Well, we don't get to talk to Brian too often, do we, Mike?
So,
What kind of merchandise?
well, I'm just thinking Donnie might be able to present that to some of the athletes who come on the show. They can,
Yeah.
The catchers.
Yeah,
In
we're
the
trying
area.
to we're trying
Instead
to
of the Stanley Cup, it's the Protex Cup.
we're trying to get people on the show, not run them off.
Okay, all right. Well,
That's true.
it was just an idea.
Yeah.
Great one, too, Marcus.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Donnie Moore. Back to you, Gunner.
Hey, I'm here with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and my brother John from up Indianapolis way, and I want to talk a little bit about the national championship game the other night. Michigan defeated UConn 69-63 to win the college basketball national championship. It was the second national title for Michigan. And John, I'm going to start with you because you're up in that area. I just want to say I thought Indianapolis did an outstanding job of putting on the NCAA basketball tournament. Of course, they played where the Colts played, there in Lucas Oil Stadium, and they had to get all that ready. But I think what was really nice was, didn't they play the Division II basketball championship there in Indianapolis at Market
ladies,
Square? And
yes.
Yeah.
They had a couple of other championships there
Yep.
at Market. I want to say Market Square, but it's not Market Square anymore. But the other arena downtown where the Pacers play,
Gamebridge.
Gamebridge Fieldhouse. And I just thought it was a great weekend, and they put on a great show up there in Indianapolis, and I didn't hear anything but good about it.
I think Indianapolis is the gold standard really for, and this goes back to when they, the Indianapolis 500-mile race, be able to house that many people that come to town. Now it's even bigger because you got the Colts, and I think we'll get the championship game again in 4 years. But I think it was the first time that they've had that many championship games in one town at one time, which was really, really, really neat.
Indianapolis has come a long way because back when I was growing up, it was pretty much the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah.
The whole month of May was Indianapolis, and they put them on the map. And then you had high school basketball was always real popular up there. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot to do in Indianapolis. They called it Naptown. Naptown.
Yep.
You go to Naptown, go downtown to shop or whatever. But now, you got the Pacers and the Colts, and you're bringing in these big events, and it's,
it's not just
got everything right there in one place. It's a great place.
Time of the year anymore. There's something going on year round.
Now, I thought they did a great job pulling that off too.
Right.
Mike.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Somebody explain something to me.
Okay.
What is this crown of college basketball tournament that they held out in Las Vegas? Who can participate in that? I know Oklahoma won it.
It's we kind of talked about it. It's one of those. It's now that Vegas can have sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where they can put together. And
so it's a Vegas event.
It's supposed to be like. They want to say they're equivalent to the NIT, but they've now created a third tier of postseason basketball.
Okay.
And if you want to keep on playing a couple more games, and you can, but
here's the difference: they gave them NIL money to go out there to Vegas to play. Some pretty good big NIL money, and that's why you didn't see those teams in the NIT because they took the NIL money.
Who won the NIT?
There. Auburn won the NIT.
Now what we're going to see, I think, if the next thing we'll see, if left unchecked, is that somewhere, Bahamas, somewhere in the Caribbean, maybe Mexico, they are going to do a postseason tournament outside the continental U.S. And here's why. Because if you are a foreign player recruited to the United States, you are limited in what you can collect in NIL because of your student visa.
Right.
However, when your team plays, like right now we see it in the Thanksgiving and Christmas tournaments in the Bahamas or whatever, the reason those are so popular, like Vital for Atlantis, is they can collect money for those games. So they can have contracts that stipulate that if you play a game in the Bahamas, you'll be paid an equivalent of a full season. And they can arrange deals to be done when they play those games outside the U.S. That's going to be the next big thing, unless the brakes are put on.
Yeah. Michigan and UConn. Gosh, I watched that game the other night, and Donnie, I'll go with you first. It was ugly. It was an ugly basketball game, and you had both sides playing great defense on both sides, but they played as poor of offense as great a defense they play. It was just. I'm sitting there thinking, well, they're playing in this big facility. You can't. The outside shooting was horrible.
It was.
And I've talked about this 1,000 times on this show through the years that when you're playing defense like that and you're stressing defense and you're trying to keep the score down, that's really the only chance UConn had to win this game was to make it ugly. And you're stressing that defense on both sides, making that other team work their offense and then coming down and working on defense. Your legs go. And, Donnie, when your legs go, your shooting goes, and that's just exactly what happened the other night. The outside shooting, Michigan, I think they just hit 1-3, didn't they, from three-point range right there in the
that's all I remember.
Maybe one or two, but it wasn't many, and they were an outstanding three-point shooting team. But I thought it was an ugly game, and what'd you think overall?
I tend to agree with you. I think it was not. If you like offense, you didn't like these two teams playing because they were both defensively minded and didn't play well offensively, like you said. And I can see that when your legs go, your shooting goes.
Yeah.
Because we saw it.
But Michigan, you know, they had the advantage there when you play that kind of game and you can't shoot the ball from the outside. They had the people inside that could respond. They got 36 points in the paint.
Right.
That's you know, half their points. And
was.
UConn, they made it ugly. They controlled the tempo of the game. But when you do that and you get down, it's hard to catch up. And they got down at the end, and you got to change your tempo to get back in it.
Yes, you do.
They almost did. They almost got back in it, but 25 for 28 for Michigan from the free throw line and 36 points in the paint were just the real difference. But I was right on the three-point shots. Michigan was 2 for 15, 21 for 55 from the field at 38.2%, and one of those twos was that dagger right there at the end of the game. You know, they hit, I think it was McKinley
Yeah, I think so.
there from the wing, hit the one from the outside. But
you're right. That's not a very good shooting day.
yeah, and Elliot Cadeau, the point guard for Michigan, he had 19 points, but he had a lot of drive-ins and went to the free throw line quite a bit to get shots. But John, you were mentioning going to the free throw line, and what Michigan did really well was taking the ball to the basket. You know, taking the ball in there and either coming away with points or coming away with fouls. Right. And what happened is they got UConn in foul trouble, especially early, and they just really never came around from that foul trouble. They fought that foul trouble the entire game.
They did.
Michigan or UConn did.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So,
well, I think UConn, too, if they were going to win the game, it was going to be a low-scoring game. And what kept them in is they shot, you know, they got 7 more three-pointers than Michigan got.
Right.
They shot 33 three-pointers.
yeah, they threw it up from out there.
And they only hit 9. So, you know, that was a difference, too.
Yeah.
But I saw Mullins going to the basket, got 7 rebounds compared to the 2 that he averaged during the season, but yeah, it was kind of an ugly game offensively, shooting wise.
Yeah.
So
and they had some guys that had to play a lot of times. You know, Caravan had to play 40 minutes for UConn. Mullins played 36 minutes, and Terrace Reed played 33 minutes because you got guys on the bench with foul trouble.
Right.
So you couldn't have a rotation.
Their legs are getting worn out towards the end of the game.
But with all that being said, UConn had the ball at the end of the game, and they had the 4-point lead. They had the 4-point lead. I think it was 67-63, and Caravan threw up a 3, and it didn't go with around 13 seconds or a little bit less than that, and Michigan got the rebound. Hey, he cuts that lead to 67-66 with 10 seconds to go or 9 seconds to go, and you can start thinking about another remarkable finish because they were going to foul Michigan, and they would have still had a chance to go down and either shoot a 3 or hit a 2 down there at the other end, depending on the situation.
Right.
That was a big shot that Caravan took right there at the end of the basketball game. But
again, when you got tired legs,
it's
tough to get that shot up there.
And I guarantee you they had – I mean, I've seen some games like that Coach over at UT's played. That UCT's played over there, Barnes, where they've gone out there and they've just worked somebody to death on the defense, and the other team's pretty good on the defensive end, and it turns into an ugly game.
Does.
Let's put it this way, this was an ugly, exciting basketball game, right down to the last shot.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're going to take a break here, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the championship basketball game and then close out today's show. You're listening to the GoTeez Sports Page, and stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with for over 90 years. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
We're back on the GoTeez sports page, and I'm here with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and my brother John, and we're talking a little bit about the national championship game that was played last Monday night. And I want to talk a little bit about Braylon Mullins, and before I get to that, one of the things, John, that made this an outstanding game, so to speak, kind of a sidelight to it, was that Dusty May was a manager at IU in Bob Knight's day, a manager.
All right.
And now he's the head coach at the University of Michigan, and he's won him a national championship. And then the other side was Braylon Mullins, hit the big shot against Duke. And, of course, he's from Greenfield, Indiana, which is 15 miles away from where you and I grew up. And Braylon, you know, he got a lot of publicity in the tournament, but what he's going to really be known for in the tournament was the fact that he hit that shot to beat Duke. And then in the game against Illinois, he hit a big shot right at the end to
kind of put the dagger in.
Yeah, he put the dagger in the deal. He took the game from 4-7. It was under a minute to play. But there's a lot of, I want to talk a little bit about where he goes from here. You know, he came into his freshman year in college with a great class out of high school. I'm talking about all across the country.
Right.
This is a class. They're going to have several different players in the first round of the NBA draft. So I want to talk a little bit about him because they're talking that, you know, he may go in the 13th round. He may go, you know, somewhere around 28th. You know, don't know, but somewhere in the middle, toward the end in the first round, and he's going to have to make a decision here in the next couple of weeks. And you're from up there in Indiana, and you know what it's like to play up there and be around high school basketball and players. You've seen a lot of basketballs. Where do you think he's at right now? Does he need to stay in college? Or
God, I'd love to see him stay one more year and develop. He just, you know, he's such a great shooter. I mean, I don't know if they utilized him in the way that they should have this year. It was nice to see him in that game against Michigan. He was going to the boards. You know, he hauled down 7 rebounds in that game, and he averaged 2 during the season. And, you know, he kind of did that in high school, took the ball to the basket, and he did a lot of standing in that corner. You know, that he'd come down
during the season, yeah.
Did a lot of standing, and I just think he needs one more year to develop, to, you know, get a little bit more bulk on him, and it's a big step from high school to college, which you know.
And his step,
and from college to pro,
man,
oh man, but he's a phenomenal player. My Lord,
he's got the tools. You know, you got to put on some more bulk. He's got to learn to take the ball to the basket a little bit better.
And he knows how to do that. He did that.
Moves without the ball pretty well. Yep. During the season, I felt like, you know, guys, they're not using him like they need to be.
Right.
He's not moving without the ball real well. But in the tournament, handled the ball a lot more. And, of course, they had some injuries.
They had a player out.
They had some players that were hurt, so he had to do some things he didn't normally do during the season.
And he did step
but
up.
He stepped up, and he handled the ball pretty well, and he took the ball to the basket on numerous occasions, moved without the ball. He kind of looked like the player that I expected him to be during the season.
At the start of the season.
That's what I got from him. Now, everybody talked, Donnie Moore, about his shooting. John talked about his shooting. I talked about shooting. The pros talk about his shooting. Didn't have a great year shooting the basketball, really. Had a good year. He shot 42% from the floor, and he shot 34% on threes. And in the tournament, I went back and looked at how he did in the tournament, and sometimes all it takes is a shot, Donnie.
Yeah,
you know, to turn your life around.
Sure.
But in the Furman game, he was 5 for 14 from the field and 0 for 8 from threes. 5 for 9 from the field against UCLA, 2 for 6 from threes. In the Michigan State game, he was 3 for 7 from the field, 2 for 5 on threes. Against Duke, the shot that he hit that put Duke out of the tournament, that put him and Greenfield on the map, he was 4 for 10 and 1 for 5. Against Illinois, he was 5 for 14 from the field and 4 for 7. That was really one of his better games against Illinois. And then against Michigan, he was 4 for 17 from the field in the final game and 3 for 10.
Wow.
So, you know, you talk about a great shooter, but here he was, you know, on the stage against, you know, great competition, and offensively, he struggled a little bit with his shot and his shooting.
He did.
Yeah.
But, you know, nevertheless, he was a very important part of that team.
Absolutely.
And when he did struggle a little bit, you know, his teammates picked him up.
Yeah. And I thought he was pretty aggressive. You know, got in there and got some rebounds and
kind of what you expected from him. I think the most glaring thing was his the amount of times that he went to the free throw line during the season. That to me is him taking the ball to the bat, but that guy of
and
that
how many
caliber,
times does he go again?
36 times.
36
times.
times.
He was 32 or 36 from
32
the free
of
throw.
36, all for the whole year.
A pure shooter that you got to get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
To win, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you got to get him in
Can
there
you
to the free throw
imagine?
line. Yeah.
But to shoot that few, that was really glaring to me.
I
and
think-
then rebounds.
I think if he goes back to Duke, or not Duke,
UConn.
Yeah, if he goes back to UConn, he's gonna do some things he didn't do this year. He's gonna take it to the back. He's gonna go to the free throw line a lot more next year than he went this year.
He will be a leader next year.
Yeah.
The leader of the team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Marcus Fitzsimmons is he a first-round choice? Mullins. Should he go? I know he's going to be a first-round choice, but should he go?
I think
should he go?
It's one of those you can. If I was him, I would talk to the people. I'd do the experience, because you can have the experience. You can talk to advisors, you can talk to teams, and then you can say you're not. You can change your mind and say I'm not declaring for the draft this year. I would do the experience and take a look and see where you're projected to go, and see what your feel is, because if you're going to be coming out and you're looking at being drafted by a team that might not be a good fit for you, given what you can make in college, you're probably better off going back for another year, making another $1 million or so with the team you're with, and having a better chance next year and another opportunity. Because the thing you can have when they want you is you actually can say no and go back to college, and they're not going to lose interest in you. I mean, you might slip a little bit more, but that's not always a bad thing, because, I mean, the way the system's set up, the best players go to the worst teams. Being a 7 or 8 pick is a lot better off sometimes.
This is hearsay, you know. You hear a lot of things out there, because nothing is printed on what people make. But I've heard figures that from sources, you know, in town up there, that you know, he was getting around $875,000 a year. Well, you've got to figure that he's probably going to get more than that if he comes back.
You hope that they step up and make it worth his while to think about it.
Yeah, and
at least.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that one shot was worth $125,000.
If he goes in the 13th round, you're looking about $6 or $6.5 million, and that's a 2-year deal. I think the third year's an option. Third year's option. So, you know, they could either raise you up that third year, or they could keep you where you're at, or they could, I don't know, they could send you to the G League and pay you less. You know,
you're lost.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a rolling the dice deal there. But to come back to school, you know what you're getting. Yeah. And if he could have a great year this next year, and he could come back and, you know, get even more above $1 million and more. I mean, what I'm saying is, you know, staying in school is not a bad deal, Donnie.
No, it's not. But now here's the thing that you have to figure into that, and I know he's thinking about. What if he blows out a knee?
Yeah, that's true. But he could blow out that knee in the pros.
He could. You're right.
I mean,
but
you know,
he'd be making more money when
he's going to be playing a lot more games in the pros than he's playing in college or he's played in high school, and the chances of him getting injured in the pros are going to be a whole lot greater percentage-wise than they were when he was in college.
Infinitely
I mean, he's playing 30-some games in college, and Johnny plays, 80-some games in the pros?
In the pros, it's grind. You know,
it's a grind.
We talked about that the other night.
It's a grind.
But, you know, so let's take Connect for an example.
Yeah.
Everybody loved him at UT, that great year. He goes in, he's drafted by the Lakers. Okay, so looking at this, he's played 53 games this year, averaging 10 minutes, and that's mainly because they've got 2 stars that are on injured reserve right now, that his minutes are up a little bit more. But for your season, you're getting 10 minutes a game and 4 points.
Oh. You can't do much.
That's
not going to help you negotiate your contract.
So, and this is his second year. So when you go to the
third year,
you know, you start talking about next year. What if, you know, you've got to sell that third year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've pocketed 2 big years of paychecks, but sometimes if you've got, it's kind of like, you know, when we talk about retirement planning. If you've got 4 years of 7-figure pay in college,
right?
That makes only getting 2 years professional a whole lot easier for that, because we're still talking about a very small percentage of college players.
You're talking about the bird in the hand in college. Bird in the hand. All expenses paid for, food, lodging, everything. Education there. Your education's there, and you're making the money. I'm telling you, it's not a bad gig. Not a bad gig. And playing for a program that can win a national championship every year.
Sure.
What would Dad told you to do?
My dad would have.
The advice.
Yeah.
This is important. I think the advice
Dad would
people around him.
Dad would have probably said, you need to stay in school. You need to stay in school. You know, you're making good money. You're not having to pay those expenses out there. You don't know. You're taking a gamble when you go to the other. And if you stay 4 years and you do well, that accumulated money may add up to what they were going to offer you in the first place.
He'd say you got that in your pocket.
You got it in your pocket. It's like the bird in the hand, and they're going to be happy for you. And you're going to mature. You're going to mature mentally. You're going to mature physically. You're going to be more ready to go. My dad would say stay.
I think in high school, too,
stay.
Braylon was a leader. And I think next year he'll become a leader of that team.
Yes.
And he'll develop, and he'll mature, he'll bulk up, and I think he'll be more ready for pro. But, hey, good luck to him regardless. We'll all know on the 26th of this month what all's going down in
you guys are good kick out of this. John said, you know, when you were a freshman, you know, you looked a lot different than when you were a senior. You know, as you got older, you bulked up, your arms got bigger, your legs got bigger. And I told him that happened when I was a sophomore down at Florida, and they had the football team behind the bench, and I was real thin and so forth. And they kept saying, hey, is Edwards on training table? Y'all need to feed him some food. Said, man, I went back, and I was going back for seconds and thirds in the training room back there.
Well, here's a note for us to get out of here on.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Lakers made history this week.
Oh.
Because at no other point in NBA history has a son provided an assist to a father.
Hey,
no
okay.
kidding.
So Bronny threw a pass to LeBron, and he scored.
All right.
History made.
All right.
All right.
All right, time to get out of here. And, John, thanks for filling in today, and it's great to have you down here. And you're welcome back anytime. And we'll look forward maybe
Thanks
to
for having fun.
We'll
you guys are good
forward
group.
to getting back with you maybe when we get closer to race time there in Indianapolis. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the GoTeez Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the GoTeez Sports Page.